Okay, so it has been a long time since I last done one of these, and I've completely forgotten the best way to introduce myself in these, because I don't like doing the old what's up people of the internet, how are you doing today type malarkey that so many of these YouTube people tend to do. I don't like being cliched, and I don't like being a dick. So anyway, yeah, long time, but I thought it was time to give an update because a few bits and pieces gone on. It's been this month was the 3 years since I got admitted to hospital initially, beginning of May in 2021, and there goes my phone. Turn all the noise off on the PC, but the phone's still going. Never mind. Yeah, so yeah, 2021 May was when I first got put into hospital, and then last month was the second anniversary of my stem cell / bone marrow transplant, and obviously it's now been about a year and a half since I was given the all clear at the end of 2022. So where am I, what's going on, a little bit of a refresher on what happened, because obviously when I've done some of my initial videos my brain was still a bit loopy and I may have made a few mistakes, or not actually knew some certain stuff which I've found out since. So yeah, so let's go way back to actually before I went into hospital. So the first signs of what I had wrong with me was essentially I started getting tremors in my hands, and also it's kind of was forgetting things and stuttering and all sorts of bits and pieces like that, and I didn't realise at the time as well my work rate was getting slower and slower. I was really struggling with a lot of stuff and just didn't realise because my brain was a complete and utter mess. So anyway, come March 2021 I had a seizure. Now looking back at this time, I think there were several other seizures prior to that, not as serious though, just kind of how can I put it, best way I can put it is I remember one instance where I was at work and I was emptying a bin into one of the large wheelie bins outside, and I stepped back, and the next thing I know I'm laying on the floor. So what had happened is as I'd stepped back, my body had obviously just completely locked up, and I went back, and the next thing I know I just thought, oh, you've tripped over, you clumsy git. But looking back on it now after what's happened, I now know that was probably a minor seizure. And there was another time I was pushing something and I fell over, which I wouldn't normally have done. Once again I thought, oh, you're being a bit clumsy. So I was getting clumsy, but in each of these cases now, with hindsight, they were all miniature seizures. And then right in March I had a big seizure, full on, went down on the floor, was fitting, convulsing and all sorts of stuff, and they took me into hospital, done a load of MRIs and scans and blood tests and ECGs and everything, and they couldn't find anything. And the thing was, they were going to book me in for a seizure clinic. I don't know what its official name is, but that was way off in July. So come May, as I say, end of April, beginning of May, that's it. My brain went. I don't remember anything from that point. When I woke up that day and my family went, we need to call an ambulance, to 2 months later when I woke up in a hospital. So what that was is literally I was living a separate personality. a very paranoid personality who thought people were out to kill him. I was trying to escape from the hospital. They had to sedate me. I was under 24-hour watch. Spent about a month in the first hospital. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. They had a few ideas that just, but they wasn't sure. And in the end, they transferred me to another hospital, which was, I'm not sure the official term, but it's more like a brain trauma thing where they, it's all about rehabilitation and stuff like that. So it's not so much a medical hospital, not quite a loony bin, but definitely a one where they, showing me pictures of people and saying, do you recognise this person and stuff like that. And I was only in there, from what I can gather, about a week or so. And one of the doctors there noticed. Look, sorry, I don't know if you can hear these kids screaming outside. I apologise if you can, but short of taking a rifle and shooting them all, I don't know what else I can do. Don't think this is real. Obviously, don't call the cops on me, because I don't even have a gun. Anyway, so getting back to what I was saying, so one of the doctors in there noticed my body, body language. So he noticed that I was like that. I couldn't walk straight, and this, that, and the other. And he said, he's in the wrong place. He needs to be in a medical hospital. So they then transferred me to yet another hospital, but thank God for me, it was one of the biggest London hospitals going, and they come up with a few ideas as well of what it might be. So at one point, I don't know exactly which hospital, it was the first hospital or the third hospital that came up with this. There was talk of it being a thing called encephalitis, which is a really bad brain issue, which had a lot of the same symptoms that I had. The recovery from that is quite, it's a rare condition anyway, but the recovery is not great. Even if you do recover, you might have permanent symptoms, and quite often there's the worst case scenario is death. But that wasn't convinced on that. Next up, it was TB meningitis. That was definitely the third hospital, and I was being treated for TB meningitis, which was like, I don't even want to know how many tablets I was taking a day for that. But while I was in the third hospital, I started coming out of this second personality, this mental state. I was kind of existing alongside them, so I could see the visions they had. They thought they had gone to hell. By this time, they thought they was dead and gone to hell. And that was kind of convincing me that, so I had to ask the doctors if I was alive, if we'd all gone to hell and all this sort of stuff. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, and I thought the people in the beds next to me were demons, and they were going to harvest my organs, and it was literally a living nightmare. But I was at least in control of myself. I'd stopped being aggressive. I stopped trying to escape. I was polite. I was pleasant. Anything the doctors asked, I would do. I was a complete polar opposite of what I'd been for the past 2 months. So anyway, the doctors weren't convinced it was TB meningitis, so they kept digging, and they found out it was cancer. Now initially, all they knew it was blood cancer. I'd had lumbar punctures, which is the base of the spine. They stick a nice needle right in between in between the spinal column. Yep, in between the spinal column, in between the vertebrae, and they take a sample of the fluid at the base of the spine. So by this time they knew it was cancer, but they couldn't tell what type of cancer it was, so it was a bit of a rarity. So when they did start treating me with the chemo initially, which was through the same way as the lumbar puncture, it's what they call an intrathecal chemotherapy, where, as I said, they take a sample from the spine again every time to test, and then introduce the chemo straight into the spine. They did some other tests as time went on, PET CT scans, MRIs, you name it. I went through all of that malarkey, and they discovered I had lymph nodes in my chest which were cancerous. Because start again, I had a biopsy on that, and they took that's when they discovered exactly what cancer it was. It wasn't some rare form, it was B-cell lymphoma. So then they could shift me over to a more traditional chemo, you know, the IV into the arm and, you know, all that sort of malarkey. So they did chop and change between different types of chemo, just because of what it is, because they obviously had to get it out of the central nervous system. But where it actually was manifesting was now once again I say, excuse me if I get the terminology wrong, lymphocytes at the base of the brain, top of the spine. There was a couple of them, and they was pushing on the brain, which was what was causing me to short circuit and go doolally. So at this time, after they diagnosed me and they started the different treatments and stuff like that, I had a few other issues. I think it was I potentially had a norovirus, because I woke up one day and was things coming out of both ends. I had this really bad rash at one point. What you got to realize is my immune system was completely shot. The whole thing with the B-cell lymphoma is in your blood system, you've got white blood cells, red blood cells, as pretty much everyone knows, and your white blood cells are what help fight off infections and stuff like that. They are a big part of your immune system, and the B-cell lymphoma happens when those white blood cells go rogue and become cancerous. So it's actually the thing that's supposed to heal you is the thing that's trying to kill you. So anyway, my immune system shot, so I was open to a lot of different bits and pieces. I was in the third hospital for pretty much a month, and then I finally got released, and my chemo after that was going backwards and forwards. Went through everything, then they said, right, once we've done the last of the chemo, we're going to get you into get a stem cell transplant. And what that is your own stem cells or a donor stem cells. I was lucky enough to get my own. I can't pronounce it, autologic or something like that. Anyway, so that's what we went ahead with. So they harvested them from me, but they have to run a bunch of tests on you to see if your body is capable of surviving this, essentially. So they test your lungs, your heart, your kidneys, have a look at your dental, because obviously they can't risk infections while you're doing it, because before they hit you with the stem cells, they hit you with this really heavy dose chemo. So you have 3 days of that, then you have 3 days off, then you go in and have the stem cells. Or you're in all the time, but you go and have the stem cells returned to you. So at this point you've got no immune system at all. So as I say, if you've got an infection in your mouth, whatever, it's going to be horrible. So they have to check your dental as well. I've got a load of broken teeth because of a problem I had when I was a kid, and that was one of the things that delayed me. I had to have 8 teeth out in one sitting while I was awake, but it doesn't bother me. They also found a problem with my heart. Probably they thought I'd had a heart attack and didn't realise it, but when they looked at it more, it's probably a defect I've always had. They did some more tests on that. run some I can't for the life of me remember what it is, but they give you these chemicals to speed up your heart, to just stress it out, and then they do stress echo, and then they do the echo, which is like a ultrasound type thing. So they did that, and then they said, right, no, it's not perfect, his heart, but it's safe enough to go. So we went through with it, and that's it. So everything's gone along. I'm not going to go into more. Then it's recovery. I'm 100%. Kind of. I still have a few small issues with my brain. I forget things a lot easier, and I'm still quite fatigued, which is understandable considering the stem cell transplant and stuff like that. Really, and the chemo, and it really does hammer your body. So yeah, balance is fine. Memory's a little bit shonky. I don't stutter anymore, as you can see. The hand doesn't shake. I'm not mental. Well, I am, but no more mental than I've always been in the past. And there we are. Now, one of the other downsides of this was, because I had seizures, as you can imagine, my driver's license, or in my case rider's license, because I'm a motorcyclist, got taken away from me. And I got messed around with this. I've been told multiple different things by different doctors. I got told it's a year after your last seizure you'll get your license back. It's 6 months after you come off the medication and you've had no repeat instances. I've been told it's 5 years. Phone again. I applied for this in May last year, so May 2023, for those that just might be watching this later on. And because as far as I was concerned, I was going to be clear in June, because that was 6 months after medications. Now, the DVLA has to then contact your doctor. So I gave them the name of my doctor at the hospital, and then that he changed, but that shouldn't have been a problem. So then I get notification from DVLA, we've sent this thing to your doctor, we've heard nothing back from them. I speak to my doctor and he says, no, we've sent that back. And then I get a phone call from my GP saying the hospital has requested access, DVLA has requested access to your medical file. Do you give verbal consent? And I said yes. So this was a month or so ago. Last week I get 2 letters. We've sent a letter to your doctor and we've sent a letter to your GP back in February this year, and neither of them has replied. So anyone who knows, trying to talk to somebody at the DVLA, it's not the easiest thing. So I'm just like, this is just doing my head in. Today I get a letter from the DVLA. We have reviewed your case and we need you to surrender your license, but we will be issuing you with a medical review license. From what I can understand on that means I can ride again, but on a yearly basis we have to renew the license until they're happy enough that I am no longer in a medical condition that I can be a danger to myself or others on the road, and I will get my proper license back. I don't know how that will affect insurance quotes, but I guess we'll find out. I've got to get the bike fixed up before that anyway. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. So I am, as you can obviously see, all my hair grew back, because if you look back at some of the older videos you'll see I was basically Captain Picard or Professor Xavier, same bloke, with the baldiness. So yeah, it's all grown back, and it's got pretty much its natural colour back, unfortunately. And yeah, and that's kind of where we are. I can't really think of anything else to say, but I just wanted to give a little brief update and then give a bit more insight into the previous things that went on which we may have missed out or got wrong in earlier videos. And yeah, it's just a little bit of rambling and all that bullshit. So anyway, hopefully somebody is watching this and has stayed to the end. If you have, thank you very much. The gold is buried behind the tree in the field of dreams. Only the people who stay to the end will get that message. Au revoir.